Welcome to this week's vlog. We know that the drought continues to have very real impacts for members across many parts of the country. We've been raising this with Daniel Zeichner since the Great Yorkshire Show and with Secretary of State Steve Reed, trying to get derogations put in place that enable the grazing or the cutting of some of the environmental areas. Now, for many of these environmental areas, it's now getting too late, but for some of them, there still may be use in trying to get those derogations, which we will continue to seek. Rachel leads on water for us, and she's been covering a lot of interviews about drought where she's been raising these issues.
In a livestock point of view, I speak to farmers that have got very little grass in front of them, if no grass. Yet I know we're very in a fortunate situation on our own farm here where we've just had enough rain just to keep that grass moving. So it really is a mixed picture.
Cows, sheep, dairy cows all need grass. And I'm afraid in some parts of the country, they just don't have it, and they haven't had it for a number of months now. So people are having to use winter stocks from leftover from last year because they haven't even been able to make any winter stocks for the coming year. So it is quite, it's very, very difficult for a lot of our farming members.
So how bad a problem is it? Is it something that happens once a decade, that scale of problem? Is it surmountable?
Talking to people last night, these are people that have been farming for decades themselves on the farms that they have. And this is probably as bad as they've seen it. It is really mixed across the country. We have some areas where they're just about getting away with it. We're just about getting away with it on our farm. But in other parts of the country, it is really tough, and they've not experienced this before. And when it comes to livestock, we've got situations where people have been feeding what was left over from last year's winter stock. They've got no grass on the ground, and they've certainly made nothing for next winter.
I'm now going to hand over to David Barton, our Livestock Board Chair.
Hello, I just want to highlight the current situation for livestock farmers in large parts of England at the moment, and we are in severe drought. Behind me are my suckler cows. We've been feeding all the stock on the farm full winter ration for 7 weeks now. Our forage take was, hay was 30% of normal. We made no silage because we had to graze it, and we have whole cropped all our spring barley to try and create some forage. We are still short of forage, and the fact that we are still feeding a full winter ration and we're in August doesn't look like we're going to get a break in the weather, and rain is what I need desperately until probably September. There's no sign of rain just yet. So this is a serious problem, and I recognise that many farmers will be in the same situation as me, and it really is a struggle at the moment. I've never experienced anything like this in 42 years that I've kept cattle. So what have we been doing? Well, I raised this first on the 16th of May. Because I could see that this could be potentially a really big problem, and it is. And what have we done? Well, we have asked for general derogations for a lot of us are in environmental schemes to alleviate the problem and to help out in this extraordinary weather period that we're in. And in fact, at the Great Yorkshire Show, we asked Daniel Zeichner, the farming minister, to look at that and to give some general derogations, move the periods in which we could start grazing forward, and other grazing options that could have helped. And also at the Water Summit, our president asked the Secretary of State Steve Reed the same thing. And I'm really disappointed that we haven't had the recognition of the seriousness of the situation. It's the total lack of understanding and empathy for us as farmers and food producers that really disappoints me. It's very difficult to know what we can do. Rain is the answer, but it would be good to have some help, and we will continue to ask for those derogations. But there's still things that could help, but it's getting late in the day. So what I'd say to you is, if there's anything you think that we can do to help as NFU, then please do contact me or the livestock team. We're working as hard as we can. It's so difficult, and I think fodder will start to move from the parts of the country where there is a surplus, and straw again is also very short, and that is moving around too. So I think things will settle, but it is really challenging, and we do recognise how difficult it is for our livestock farmers just at the minute.
This week we've also seen a report from CenTax, a detailed analysis of the government's proposals on inheritance tax. Within the report, they recognise that working family farms are adversely impacted by the current proposals in comparison to landowners that aren't actively farming the land. Within their report, they recommend adjustments that could be made to better target the relief. We've got our policy board coming together next week to discuss these proposals and other amendments that could be proposed to the finance bill as we continue to work on this policy area. We hope that the government will take CenTax's report seriously, where they do recognise the undue impact on working family farms. I'm now going to hand over to David, who's going to talk about farm safety, because there's been another tragic accident this week.
It's a busy time on farms. We're flat out preparing ground for oilseed rape, and following on from a successful Farm Safety Week, it's important to remind people to be safe every week, not just that week. We sadly had 2 notifications of fatalities on farms this week, so please remember, everybody around our farms need to be safe. Children, parents, friends, family, colleagues, everybody needs to come home safe at the end of the day. Please remember our campaign, Take 5 to Stay Alive. Take 5 minutes or even 5 seconds to plan what you're going to do before you do it, and look out for further action on farm safety. We're going to have some statistics around farm fatalities and accidents coming soon. And also remember our 4 Farming Nations of the UK campaign on ATV safety. We have to work together if we're going to make a difference.
Thank you very much for listening to this week's vlog. We look forward to keeping you updated.